And AqueroN is very good at this game. So in the bottom left, the Spanish Terran player, it's AqueroN. And in the top right, the red Zerg, it's Demi, who's going under the name King on the EU server.
Yeah, maybe we should refer to him as King, since otherwise it's gonna be very confusing.
Maybe. Here we... I realized I accidentally had the bracket up instead of the game, but I fixed it.
Yeah, well,
Here we go. Now we're good. So it looks like they're both gonna start off with pretty standard openings. Just the hatch first from King, and the no proxy barracks. Unlike Vindicta's genius proxy Thor play.
yeah, like I've been told that didn't work so well, right?
It did not work so well, but on it almost worked, because he ended up getting 11 kills with the first Widow Mines that he proxied, but then the Thors did nothing. So if he had just done the Widow Mines instead of the Thors, he probably would have won that game. But
that is kind of crazy. That it almost worked. Like, it's very crazy.
the Thors are always an entertaining thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Because they're so bad.
Now that Gumiho is back from the military, we're gonna see Proxy Thor as the most common TVP build in all of StarCraft.
I still doubt it, but yeah, like, seeing Gumiho being back, like, it's always a treat. Like, he's one of the most entertaining Terran players, for sure.
You never know if he'll just sneakily pull it out one time and get a win against one of the top Zergs in all of Korea, because that's something that happens. I guess
it's so unlikely for it to happen that it could almost work.
Exactly. It's one of those builds that you never. Well, it looks like we have a pause, so we can talk more about the Proxy Thor. It's one of those builds that you expect to happen so little that when you see it, you're like, is this actually happening? Is this real, or am I just imagining?
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've witnessed a proxy hatch in a series before this.
Yeah, was that Demi versus Extra Striker?
Yeah, and it was a proxy hatch that didn't do absolutely anything because he was instantly scouted, and like Extra Striker like plays 2 shield batteries, made a robo bay, a robo facility, sorry, and a million stuff for defense. And
Demi still won.
Yeah, Demi was like, yeah, okay, I'm just not gonna produce anything out of this hatchery. And he went back home, he made his hatchery finished before Extra Striker even put down his Nexus.
Well, yeah, he's the best StarCraft player in the whole country of India, and that's like 1 billion people, so he's gotta be pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
And AqueroN, it looks like he'll be going for a fast command center. His second CC, his third CC, I meant, is coming down even before King's third hatchery, so AqueroN's
that's weird. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised not to see actually a second Rex. I mean, oh yeah, here it is. Of course.
I feel like Demi can definitely take advantage of the fact that AqueroN went fast third CC. And look, because he's going lair before third third hatchery, and he actually did a build very similar to this versus Vindicta, in which he went for a Roach Ravager all-in.
Yeah, so, and actually, he sees this. He has an overloading position. He scouts this, and AqueroN is going for a 1-1-1. So he's not gonna have a lot of defenses for this.
But if you take a look at AqueroN's vision, he does see the hatchery turning into the lair. So he's aware there's some sort of aggression going on, but he doesn't know what type of aggression it could be, because this lair could lead to mutas, and with these 2 gases coming down, it very likely will be mutas.
Yeah, absolutely, very likely. 2 days mutas. I would like to see a third hatchery being dropped down. You don't need the minerals and yeah, here it comes, the third hatchery.
The third hatchery
has been dropped. Yeah, absolutely perfect reaction from King so far.
So let's see what AqueroN
I don't really like AqueroN position.
He's gonna send some Hellions across the map, so let's see how much damage these Hellions could do if they can kill any drones. That would be pretty big to especially slow down the muta production.
Absolutely. Things are in position. Yeah, these Hellions are not really getting anywhere right now.
No. And there is still almost no anti-air. Oh, but the drones are lining up. That was a good barbecue on those drones.
That was a little bit of a misplay on the side of King. This last Hellion is going to get into the main. He will not get anything done, but 5 drones have fallen.
And
tying up the score in drones.
The only real anti-air that's coming out though from AqueroN is that Viking, and one Viking is not going to fare well against the multiple mutas that will be coming out from Muta King. So his name is very fitting because he's making mutas. And look at that. He even blocks the third base location with the Overlord creep ability.
Yeah, I don't really think AqueroN wants to go too wide too soon. He still needs some defenses. He still needs a couple missile turrets in his mineral lines.
But he has 0 missile turrets right now.
Well, he has 2 NG base going up right now. I think the missile turrets will be up on time. Let's
hope so, or else these mutas are going to do some critical damage. But the Hellions are back. And let's see how much damage they can do. 2 more drones end up going down.
Yeah, like, that's almost as much as they could do. Like, they cannot make anything more. Like, oh yeah, here comes the missile turrets. It's actually 3 of them, 1 in the front, which is interesting. There's a lot of Marines for defending the add-ons as well as a couple Vikings.
It's very interesting though, is that this orbital command basically hasn't been able to do anything. Because it's just been sitting in AqueroN's main, only finally going down. It's been sitting there for a couple of minutes. And here come the mutas. The missile turret is going to push them away. So AqueroN was able to get the missile turrets up in time, and now he's getting his 1-1. He's just going to power up on Bioterran, what he's best at.
Yeah, and right now we see Muta King just trying to get some ground army, trying to get some critical upgrades in the form of centrifugal hooks and +1 air attack.
He definitely needs banelings here because these mutas are not going to deal very well with the Stim Marines and the Vikings.
Absolutely.
When we see the mutas, they're going to try to deal some damage to the natural as well, but this missile turret positioning from AqueroN is perfect. I'm just going to repel them.
Looks like it's going to be a pretty clean defense so far from AqueroN. And having the early for command center not being punished will push him to a very good position in this first game of the series.
He's ahead, 16 army supply. He's only behind 5 workers, and he will be ahead in workers pretty soon, especially with mules. And there's Widow Mines on the way, and we all know how powerful Widow Mines can be.
Yeah. In the tech department, in the production department, AqueroN is looking mighty fine. These upgrades just now have been started by Muta King with +1 Carapace and +1 melee, and they're not even remotely going to be on par with the upgrades AqueroN is building up to.
And Stim is nearly done, so AqueroN can now put on the aggression. He's able to do drops. He'll be able to do Widow Mine drop, Marine drop, etc. And these Widow Mines, he's putting them into sneaky positions all around the map, just if he can catch some mutas off guard and burst them.
Control of the watchtowers might become something very critical for AqueroN. Very important to take control of these before his plays get actually spotted. We see 1 Marine walking to the watchtower on the left. Of course, these mutas are going to make control of these watchtowers very difficult.
And Muta King does have a very good amount of mutas at this point, so he's going to be able to use that to repel drops. If he sees those drops, there's no way that they're going to get into the main of Muta King, as long as those mutas intercept them. But AqueroN looks like he's going to push with Widow Mines down and clear some creep. Try to hit the third base of Muta King. Let's see what he can do. But there are a lot of speed banelings already out on the field.
I think for the time being, he's going to be content with repelling a little bit of this creep advance. And Muta King is going to try to answer with what in another game we will call a cross-map play. And try to strike on the bottom side, while AqueroN is looking for more crypt tumors on the left side.
And both players are now just getting up their 4th bases, they're building now. Let's see what these mutas can do on the other side of the map. Now,
beautiful drop in the main of Muta King though, getting a lot of drones. This queen is almost certainly doomed.
The queen actually survives, but not after 5 drones go down. Nice, those are some nice bait connections though. Now,
absolutely.
It's just, I'm afraid for Demi, because what if he just accidentally runs these mutas into all these Widow Mines across the map? They could all just die in 1 second, and basically he would just lose the whole core of his army.
Oh, and walking into these Vikings and Marines is not even that great.
It's very important that he keeps those mutas alive. They're what's keeping these. Those are what's giving him map presence and map control. Without the mutas, AqueroN has basically free reign to do whatever he wants, so the pressure he can keep on with the bio. There's no...
Absolutely. And Drilling Claws is almost finished as well, and yeah, you talked about how powerful are Widow Mines, and with Drilling Claws, his mutas had even less leverage to work.
Especially against the combination of Bling Bane Muta. That's the most effective comp that Widow Mines are against.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
even a couple Marauders in production to stop these Banelings from getting good connections, and Thor's always a good answer to this kind of build.
And the small push at the third base from AqueroN, he's had some really beautiful splits against those Banes. He's just able to target fire them down. The Marines didn't take any damage to the Banes. And oh, these mutas are going to take a big Widow Mine hit and walk straight into 2 missile turrets. This is not good. For Demi, his mutas are in the main of AqueroN. They're dealing a lot of damage to the drones, not drones, SCVs. That's 8 SCVs now, 12 SCVs going down, so he's going to deal a lot of economic damage. But the question is, will he be able to make it out of AqueroN's base alive without losing all the mutas?
Oh, that's a whole other question. That's a lot of dead space, but these looked a little bit like a Hail Mary. Oh my god, the Widow Mines.
Oh, he escaped right before those Widow Mines went off. That's very lucky. And he's going to ravage the mineral line at the 4th base as well. So he just killed 27 SCVs. But keep in mind, AqueroN's pushing on the other side of the map, and he has 148 army supply.
Yeah, it looks like AqueroN might very much win this game, even with those losses. The mutas are all going down. That was a terrible engagement from Muta King.
And now 10 more mutas are on the way, but these mutas aren't really going to do much against this bio-mine army.
Demi needs to survive, needs to see these hive rise up.
If Demi can stay alive under the constant pressure of AqueroN's bio, he's going to be in an amazing position, because it's essentially doubling the worker count of Demi.
And his tech is nothing to frown upon. This hive is going up, meaning that Vipers are going to be something very possible in the next few minutes. But this push from AqueroN is looking very deadly.
A Viper with a parasitic bomb on those metavascs could really be game-changing. But look at this. AqueroN's going to send his main army to push into the 4th base of Demi. Meanwhile, he's going to try at least to send a medevac into the main, but the mutas are there and denies the drop. But this Thor, Bio, Widow Mine army, it's very strong. But Demi, he does have 110 army supply. His Bane count's very low though, compared to the amount of links.
Mostly links.
And those Widow Mine hits are just massive.
The Thor's just immediately vanishes under the strike of these mutas, but it's not looking like it's enough. He buys Muta King some time.
AqueroN
on the left side,
is now
dropping.
So AqueroN is doing some beautiful multi-pronged harassment. Let's see how much damage he can get done. But Demi, he's on top of it, splitting his army in 2 to be able to hold both back. And these mutas are even going to chase after the medevacs.
Demi needs many more Banelings right now. The splits are looking strong from AqueroN. Retreating on creep might be difficult, but here comes a couple beautiful connections from Demi. Where are they enough?
And now the army supply, it's just closing in, and now Demi, it looks like he defeated a lot of AqueroN's army, but now there's reinforcements coming in. And these reinforcements are going to do a lot. Is it enough? These mutas are here though. And they're going to target down.
A lot of work. This medevac is full of Marines. It goes down. I think this might be game.
But the thing is, there is a hit squad of Marines that just killed Demi's 3rd base. So now, the game is pretty even, I think. 4
it's
base
pretty
versus
even, but
4 base versus 3 base.
Out of control.
Yeah, Demi's creep spread has been very limited by AqueroN. His creep control has been very good this game.
Dropping down an Ultra Cavern to take a little bit more control on the low ground. But of course, with upgrades like Adrenal Glands, +3 melee, and Carapace, the army of Demi is going to be much stronger than one of AqueroN in just a minute or 2.
And it looks like
all Demi needs to do is survive.
Looks like these mutas are going to try to go across the map to get some more damage. But AqueroN, it looks like he's prepping for another push with Thors and Bio and Widow Mines. And it's the same case that it's been the whole game, where Muta King has just a much stronger economy, but AqueroN has a much stronger army. And all Demi needs to do is hold out. These Ultras are going to be really powerful to kill the Bio with the mines. But look at this. The mutas are too far away. They cannot deny the drop that's going into the main. and there's a hit squad of 12 Marines, or 8 Marines, in the main of Demi, focusing down Queens and drones, while the 4th base is being simultaneously hit. Meanwhile, the mutas are going across the map. They're going to try to get damage, but watch. They run straight into 3 Widow Mines, make that 4 Widow Mines, and the mutas are so low. Meanwhile, 14 drones have gone down, and AqueroN takes a 50 supply lead.
That is an absolutely masterpiece from AqueroN, destroying the 4th base, hitting the main, and killing the mutas. Demi gets gold.
Demi's only hope there was dealing game-ending damage with those mutas, but really, game-ending damage was dealt to the mutas by those Widow Mines.
Absolutely. That was a very clean maneuver from AqueroN, even losing the hit squad on the left side of the map. Didn't matter, it was hitting on the main, on the 3rd, and it was an absolute disaster for Demi. We're going to go into game number 2, and it's going to be a match point for AqueroN playing his main race.
I wonder if Demi is going to try the same build that he did against Vindicta, which was the Roach Ravager. Because I feel like in that game, the Roach Ravager would have been very effective, especially against the early 3rd command center. But maybe, since AqueroN saw that Demi is wanting to go for more 2-base plays, then maybe he's going to be more cautious.
It worked out pretty damn good this time. It's a little bit of hit or miss, right?
Yeah.
Like going for these kind of greedy builds against an opponent which is fairly aggressive, it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you hit the jackpot, sometimes you have to work very hard for it. And honestly, this game, it wasn't really looking that pretty for AqueroN past a certain point. Then a couple critical mistakes on the side of Demi and a couple incredible good game decisions on the side of AqueroN decided the outcome. But I don't really think he wants to push his luck a little bit more. That's my take.
Yeah, AqueroN had insanely good multitasking in that game. He was all over Demi. He was able to be at 3 places at once.
Yeah.
And Demi is only in 1. And here we are heading into game number 2, which is on another very macro-focused map, which is Romanticide. So hopefully we can see a long and epic TVZ here.
Yeah, it's all we ask for, right? This matchup has some powerful history in the game of StarCraft 2, so let's hope it's a good one.
And the winner of this map, if AqueroN wins this map, he's going to become the champion. So, Demi has to survive here. In the top left, the Spanish Terran. In green, it's AqueroN. And in the bottom right, it's the red Zerg from India. It's Demi. And look at that. 2 SCVs are coming across the map. We're in for some cheese.
Oh, I'm looking for the rally point. I don't see. Oh wait, that's a little bit too far though.
Where? Oh yeah, they're putting on the bridge. Interesting. I feel like this is not going to be Reapers. This is going to be Marines, I think. Because if it was
I feel the same too.
But if it were Reapers, it's too far for it to be a Reaper. But
absolutely.
I guess we'll see what happens. Demi is going to just go for the hatch first, so he's going to go for the standard macro, no 12 pool. And this very slow Overlord. If you look, the Overlord is looking for proxies. But the Overlord is looking on the wrong side.
Well,
very unlucky.
That's the position. The position the Overlord is looking for. It's the most common, right?
Yeah.
AqueroN decided for this very awkward breach position, which are very far, but they're almost impossible to break. Even if you see this and you send drones forward, there's so little surface you can get onto the SCVs. So it's so difficult to break this kind of proxy.
And not to mention, nobody ever scouts there. And look at that. You can see Demi's sending his Overlord right next to the barracks, but he's just not going to spot it. He's going
to see the SCV.
So now he's going to see it. Now he's going to see it. If the SCVs weren't there, he wouldn't have saw it though.
Well, he saw another SCV, so he knows for certain. He sees a Marine, and and now there's a bunker going up in his natural. The drone is gonna spot it. It might be a little bit too late. More drones are going to be pulled.
He has to pull the boys, or else. Now the bunker does get cancelled, so that's a good first step. And there's queens and lings on the way. He really just needs to make sure this bunker cannot get up. A second bunker cancelled is very good, but drones are falling, and now there's 2 bunkers on the way.
Yeah, and the third Marine is coming in as well. A lot of lanes are in production, a lot of lanes are ready to be made. There's a little bit of a choke point being created by AqueroN. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but
The
these
Lings are
bunkers
here,
are halfway through.
and these SCVs are exposed. The Lings are going to go for the Marines. I don't know if the Marines were the best thing to go for, because the Lings are getting focused down.
From Demi were perfect. He kills both SCVs, and now he's retreating, cancelling both bunkers. The Queen is up. I think this was a very clean defense from Demi.
It was a great
so
hold.
far.
He just had the perfect amount of Lings, and I thought that I thought that him focusing the Marines with the Lings was a mistake, but then I realized there was more Lings coming out, and those Lings are able to take down the SCVs, so it's a solid hold, and looks like AqueroN's just gonna have to go back home.
Yeah, very clean so far from Demi.
He is making 2 Reapers, so I guess we'll just have to see if these Reapers can deal some damage.
Well, I think they're gonna be mostly for scouting measures.
That's
just keeping a little bit of a keeping them in check, right?
Since there's no queens in the main, since Demi brought both of his queens to the natural to defend, then he can micro those Reapers in the main and try to kill some drones.
He's gonna for sure kill a couple Lings, but Queens are slowly marching. There's no creep connecting the 2 bases. That's a little bit of a mistake, I think. But yeah, the Queens are just gonna shoot the Reapers off.
But those Reapers are going to be 2 very effective tools for him to get scouting and any sort of harassment damage the rest of the game. As AqueroN is starting to transition, he's building 2 CCs at a time right now.
Yeah,
so
that's most likely the best possible option for him to transition into a powerful, if greedy, follow-up from his proxy.
He's just going to try to recover his economy as if nothing happened. But that might be a mistake if Demi decides to go for any sort of aggression, which he might. Ling speed is almost done. We'll see if he makes a Roach Warren. It all depends on that.
Yeah, that's a couple option for Demi to go on from now. And honestly, I wouldn't mind going for a Spire play again in this position. I would love to see him rushing some tech, mostly.
Yeah.
Do something with his advantage. Maybe try to go to a quick Hydroden and Lurker play.
Lurkers will be very good in this situation. And yet again, the 3rd base is earlier for AqueroN than for Demi, but Demi is getting his 3rd base, so he's going to go for an economy. And he's 14 workers ahead, which is definitely strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Like AqueroN might have gone for the double expansion at a time, but his SCVs are still going to be a little bit short from reaching the count that Demi has for a little bit of time.
And this Overlord...
Demi is greening out, he's getting the 2 Evo chambers, he's getting tech very slowly, he's not cutting corners, he wants to play this slowly, he wants to play this and abuse his macro advantage for the time being.
Demi does not want to try to risk the aggressive Roach Ravager that he put versus Vindicta. Instead, he's going to go for a macro game. And he even scouted the early 3rd command center from Vindicta, and he decided that, you know what? I know that Vindicta is not Vindicta, AqueroN. I know that AqueroN is being greedy, but I'm going to choose. I believe that I can out macro him after defending.
Beautiful transfuse to save one of his queens from the Hellions, and it doesn't really look like Hellions and Reapers can easily get onto their ramp. And you see the lair going up at a little bit of a later time than we're supposed to see it, but of course, considering how this game started, I do feel like this is a very well-timed lair.
And now there's a drop coming out from AqueroN. I feel like he's going to go for either the 3rd or the main, so I guess we just have to see if this drop can deal some retribution damage and get AqueroN back into an economic position that's closer, because right now he's behind 22 workers, which is a very large number. Looks like...
Absolutely.
The 3rd base is going to be the target of choice, and as the Queens are pulled to deal with this hit squad of Reaper Hellion, the Marines are going to hit the 3rd base, and let's see how much damage they can do.
There's not much for defense, these drones have to be sacked out of here, the Queen immediately falls, the drop goes straight into the main, there's no connecting creep tumors, so the Queens need to hold here at the 3rd, Lings trying to get into the main, the upgrades are not done yet, they will look for a surround, beautiful, beautiful! Focus fire onto those Banelings. One of the Medivac is very bruised though, so AqueroN needs to back off for the time being, and there are 2 Liberators incoming now.
Demi's definitely going to try to cut off those Medivacs from getting out of there, but it's too late, they already fly out. Meanwhile, the hit squad of Hellion Reaper is going to try to take down this hatchery, but I don't think it will do it in time unless then the queens get there in time, and they're going to prevent the Hellions and Reapers from killing that 4th base. And
they still put a lot of damage onto this hatchery. When a tank push is going to come, and it will come sooner rather than later, it's still going to be a very fragile base.
Especially since AqueroN, he's had his 4th base, no, his 3rd base, excuse me, for like 3 or 4 minutes now. But it currently only has 4 workers mining on his base. So he looks like he's been focusing more on the army in the recent stages of the game.
I absolutely love this Spire positioning from Demi, which is not going to be seen by the Liberators. Even though they're getting some damage, they're forcing a lot of mining time. They're not going to see the Spire, but now the tanks are incoming, and this is a tough position for Demi.
The Bane Speed is not ready just yet, only 3 seconds, so as soon as Bane Speed's done, Demi will be ready to engage and try to push back this tank. He's going to go for the flank around with those Lings. And the Lings get straight on top of the tank. And then AqueroN is forced to pick up. Nice defense from Demi, and he's still up 15 workers. Although...
And his Spire is not scouted. The Spire is up and has not been scouted.
For a little while, and that was like a minute, none of the drones in his main were mining because of that Liberator. Because he had to wait for that... the Spore to get up. So it's tit for tat in this game. And AqueroN is just going to try to push his army supply advantage. He's going to try to multi-proc, try to harass Demi every opening he can find.
Paused.
And we have a pause. Probably just because of ping issues, because of how far away Spain and India are.
Yeah, most definitely.
We'll just see how long this takes.
But so far, I still give my edge to Demi. He's in a very powerful position right now.
I also give the edge to Demi. I feel like Demi definitely has a clear advantage in the game, only being behind 10 army supply, but up 20 workers. But we know how skilled AqueroN's micro is, so he's definitely has a very good chance of pulling himself back in this game.
Demi exploding in production, 7 meters at a time. He has a lot of gas still. He needs a little bit more larva to produce even more. He's getting his upgrades at a fairly quicker time than his opponent.
And there are 0 missile turrets on the map for AqueroN. So if these mutas can find an opening, they're going to be able to get a lot of damage, just like they did last game.
And even if they don't find an opening, these medivacs are going to be so exposed without AqueroN actually knowing there's a Spire playing.
And a full medevac dies straight away to those mutas. All of the mutas are now exposed, so AqueroN knows, I need to build turrets or else I'm going to take a lot of damage to these mutas. Let's see what these mutas are going to try to do.
For sure, Demi is gaining an immense amount of map control right now. He's going to try and get another medevac, and I think he will get it. The Power Crawler will surely help, and here goes another medevac. And Demi is in full control of this map right now.
Not to mention his 5th base is up, and his creep spread keeps on getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, this medevac will cross with these mutas. Oh, the mutas, yeah, they do not.
I think the mutas got them in their vision, but Demi didn't notice. But these mutas are going to go to the natural of AqueroN, but there's 2 turrets plus Widow Mines in that natural, so we'll see what it can do.
Yeah, that one medevac was much more valuable than any attempt, and now AqueroN is eating at the 5th base. There's a lot of Banelings for defense, though.
That's a lot of Zerglings, though, so if he can morph just a few of them into Banelings, they'll be able to do pretty well. And now the mutas are hitting at the natural of AqueroN. They take down both turrets immediately. Now, I don't think Demi was looking. I think he was focusing on microing at the 5th base, because those mutas ran straight into Marines, and a couple of them died. That was not a good engagement.
This Widowmine not even doing a great job. His shot went off and didn't get any kill. Another Widowmine shot. Oh my goodness, that Widowmine shot was amazing.
And this Widowmine's even going to bring that Queen down to low health. Even one shot. And there's no Overseer around here, so that Widowmine's just going to stay there alive until an Overseer can get there.
There's one Overseer sitting in the natural. He finally goes there to check. This 5th base is badly bruised. Another push might mean the end of this base, but there's a hive incoming. and Demi is just overtaking the map in creep right now.
And Demi's economic advantage is clearly showing, because not only is he now ahead in workers, but he's had the money to get ahead in army supply. He's up 20 army supply and 10 workers, so which brings him to being fully maxed out.
Yeah. Very good position for the Zerg player. Is making more banelings to deal with this heavy bio style that AqueroN is showing off, but AqueroN is trying to put his attention away in multiple directions and try to get something done and maybe kill this base, which is still very fragile.
But Demi has a very good response. He was able to split his army into 2 perfectly sized chunks that can deal with both of them. He has the Banes and the Mutas on one side, and he has the Lings and the Banes on the other side. So he's been dealing with AqueroN's multi-prong aggression very well. He hasn't really taken any damage to it, unlike last game.
Yeah, and once that Hive comes online, I don't see very comeback maneuvers from AqueroN. Of course, Stores are a good guess, but Vipers are going to be so deadly for AqueroN if played correctly by Demi.
But you never know. Well, one good Widowmine shot will change the game. So
absolutely,
especially when there's some positioned on the ramp down to the presumable 6th base for Demi. I'm wondering when Demi will expand again. I guess he doesn't really need to for now.
No, he doesn't need now, but he will need another base in a little bit, especially once that Ultra Cavern comes online.
Yeah, and he needs to be on top of his injects as well. Look at this, another push coming at the 3rd base, but there's a pretty large Zerg army here. Let's see what these Widowmines can do. Nice Widowmine hits on those Zerglings.
Absolutely, and there is more, and they still keep on hitting. It was beautiful from AqueroN.
Those were some juicy Widowmine shots. But at the same time, AqueroN's 4th base was absolutely erased. 21 SCVs just went down to a mass of Lings, Banes, and Mutas. So the game is back to being quite even. Now, but Demi is
not a lot of banelings though.
Demi's up 30 workers, but AqueroN's up 20 army supply, so he needs to get those banelings right back up soon, or else he's going to die to a very deadly push. Now here comes the Ultras, and these Ultras will be a very key part in handling this large Terran army.
Yeah, and looking at the production tab, those 5 upgrades that are currently on the way for Demi are absolutely game-ending. Adrenal Glands, +3/+3, Melee and Carapace, and of course Chitinous Plating for these Ultras. Those 5 upgrades are absolutely game-breaking.
And Demi's Mutas kill a full medevac full of Marines. But this is a very strong Terran push. Let's see what it can do, especially with these Banes, these Thors, and Focus Fire from AqueroN, who's a very good micro player. We'll see if he can hold on while doing counter damage.
The tank siege down a little bit too late. These Ultras had a lot of free time. They might not perform that great against these Marines, but they bought enough time for the banelings to go up. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Demi hitting yet at another base, getting another missile turret, and still putting pressure with his Mutas. Drop into the main, AqueroN going for the Hail Mary, and will it work?
The only thing is, Demi hasn't taken the greatest trades with his Mutas. Like, the Mutas are still just taking damage to Marines, and all of his Banes died to Widowmines on the other side of the map. But imagine if his Mutas were here, and they were able to just pick off all those full medevacs. That would be insane.
And AqueroN has been doing a great job at keeping creep back. Like, on this left side of the map, creep is absolutely non-existent, and that is a huge deal, especially with Ultras being part of this army.
Exactly, like, it's just barely up until his 3rd base. That should be where Demi's next base is, but he's forced to take the base in the top right corner because of the creep control. But if you take a look at the Muta count...
Which is much more exposed, and there's 2 choke points which are deadly for a Zerg player.
The Muta count of Demi is down to only 7. His Mutas have been... Of course, now he's making 10 more Mutas, so he's going to have 17 Mutas, but for a while it was reduced. These Thors, if they continue to be produced, will be good against Mutas. But these Ultras are very scary, and they definitely have a lot of power to destroy this bio army.
Yeah. Does he have Ultra Speed, actually? Yes, he does.
And, of course, the natural answer to these Ultras is getting snipes and the ghost that he's producing.
Yeah, without Vipers, It's looking a little bit grim for them all of a sudden, especially with this 5th base not really going up. 2 Widow Mines keeping the drone count in check. And there's no Overseer yet.
The Widow Mines are going to finally go down. And Demi's 6th base is up. You know, most games, when you have a split map scenario, they're usually top versus bottom. But I feel like, because of the way the creep spread has been handled in this game, it might be left versus right. And
yeah,
you can see the very big AqueroN army marching straight across the map to Demi's 6th base. Lots of Widow Mines.
After all those losses, after being behind in economy so much of this game, he's still even on bank, which is amazing. It means he has taken so many good trades in his favor that he was able to outground his opponent, but really lost. These archers are slowly but surely marching onto this marine army. Widow Mines trying to take the shot, Ghost trying to take the knights. This battle is very chaotic, but I think AqueroN will cut them backwards.
These Widow Mine shots just did a ton of damage. Those mutas are all in the orange health. Those ultras are all in the orange health. And even if they can take out this chunk of bio, they're just going to be so low when the next reinforcements of bio arrives. And AqueroN's multi-prong is going to take out the 3rd base of Demi. And the only thing that Demi made, he just made like 64 Zerglings. But these 64 Zerglings, really, they can't do much. He needs the Banes and he needs the Ultras.
He's gonna look for a surround on his army over here. These mutas can easily hunt down the Medivacs, but these Ultras are very bruised. Maybe a couple of them will fall. Here comes the first one. The second one falls as well.
The army is gonna get devoured by that massive swarm of Zerg units. Just a constant...
2 Ultras fall down for that, though.
Constant back and forth. And Demi just keeps on making more mutas. The Muta King name holds true, always. He's gonna have 24 mutas on the field, and 2 banelings.
+3 air is incoming, and that is almost like a baneling shot with these many mutas out on the field. If he can tank enough damage with the Ultras, the mutas can deal a lot of work, but these Widow Mines have been absolutely amazing. 16, 17 workers. All done for Demi.
Widow Mine drops the legendary, always the worker killer. And if this amount of workers is going down to Widow Mines, just imagine how many mutas can go down to Widow Mines in an engagement.
It looks like the Widow Mines are going to be clear. Demi back with the drone count. He started off before this Widow Mine drop, but he's slowly but surely bleeding in his bank. His gas is amazing. He has 3k gas in the bank. But AqueroN, with that Ghost Cloak, I think he's looking for the time of these nuclear missiles.
Although, the lower drone count does allow Demi to get a higher army count, and while he's defending the push on his 6th base, he is right on top of the production of AqueroN. He's killing all the barracks with these mutas. 3 barracks have already gone down, as well as add-ons. And if you get the Terran's production, that's the Terran's lifeblood.
These ghosts doing so much work on the 6th base front. On the side of Demi, so many Ultras were not able to get anywhere close to the army of AqueroN, and now it looks like this base is going to be sacked. More Ultras are incoming onto the Marines, but the ghosts absolutely annihilating the army of Demi.
These mutas are still wreaking havoc across the map, so it's just the question, can Demi hold on? If Demi destroys this pushing army from AqueroN, he's basically won the game because of how much damage to the production he's done by those mutas. But there's a very good chance that this army is just too powerful, and AqueroN will kill him right here, right now.
Such a close scenario. Mutas are so good for these base trades, and now the Ultras are marching forward. Ghosts are not high on energy, but they do have enough for these knights. Binlings trying to connect on top of everything. The Ghost survives, the Marines do not. Another base needs to be sacked.
And Demi falls below 100 supply for the first time in what feel, like 15 minutes.
And he's not really producing too much. He doesn't have enough income.
The only thing he can make is Zerglings, because he has so much gas in the bank, but he has almost no minerals. He finally has to bring the mutas home to fight this bio army. But these ghosts will be able to get some really nice snipes on the mutas. AqueroN is really looking like he's going to take the game here with this powerful army. because it proves true that economy matters nothing if you don't have a powerful enough army to defeat the Terran.
The mutas are going to clean house over here, not at a short price, at a small price.
Yeah,
but
30
again,
drones.
the economy of Demi is almost non-existent right now, and Demi only hits the main base, the base that wasn't mining, the natural as well. There's not a lot that has stopped AqueroN right now. Like, he doesn't have enough production, yes, but his economy is through the roof right now.
And he's been rebuilding that production at his 5th base as well. So now he's been being able to make the bios. Meanwhile, Demi, he's essentially only on 2 mining bases. And one of them is almost mined out. And only 4 hatcheries is really not that much production, especially when a ton of queens die and you can't inject.
Yeah, this is most definitely not a good spot for Demi. And AqueroN very decisive on his offensive maneuver, able to micro perfectly to snipe down those ultras before they got anything done. And yet again, I mean, man, ultras are really underwhelming in those scenarios.
And Demi, he has to go across the map and deal damage, or else he'll basically lose. He needs to do something to punish AqueroN. But if these mutas just take a couple Widowmine hits, the game will be over. And AqueroN's supply is just climbing and climbing and climbing as Demi's is just safe flatlining. He almost just walked into 4 Widowmines, but he luckily noticed that they were there before all of his mutas died.
Yeah, that's not a great spot. Like, these army from AqueroN can easily deal with the mutas right now, and there's not many Banelings. The lane's trying to get this around. The Baneling's trying to get on top of the Widowmines before they can get the shot. The shot's sealed.
3 Widowmines
right
are burrowed. Now, the Widowmines aren't going to get their hits off just in time, but every little bit of damage that Demi takes is almost irreplaceable because of how little income he has compared to AqueroN. And now these Widowmines are finally recharged. He's just going to bury them. And bam!
Oh.
6 Widowmines hit all the mutas. GG!
The Hail Mary from Demi does not work. AqueroN takes the series 2-0.
And AqueroN is the champion of the August 2021 Alpha X MVP Cup. Despite losing to Vindicta as a Protoss, he decided to go back to Terran and just completely take command of the tournament.